My area director adventure started when I first became an area director, went to the very first club, and introduced myself as, I am your area director. The club president, Linda Abley, came over and said, ooh, area director, we ain't ever seen one of these before. Is this something that, you know, you get sick with it, or something like that? I said, no, I didn't. Well, not every area director gets introduced quite like that, fortunately. What I found was that there's three things about area directorship that we need to know. First of all, what is an area director? What do they do? And what did I learn from this experience? Finally, of course, there's a hook to this. What is the possibility that you might wish to take this role on one time? So let's step back here. What's an area director? Well, each of the Toastmaster clubs has members, it has officers. However, there is a district that is responsible for all of the clubs that are there. And what they do is they appoint an area director to go and be the representative to that club. Now, in my case, I had 4 clubs that I was working with in my area, which Manoj said was Area H5. My duties and responsibilities included, as a minimum, going to the club 4 times a year. I did it a lot more than that because I needed to get to know these people. Some of them were clubs that I hadn't ever seen before, and I had to find out what was going on. Remember, as an outsider, which is what I am, my point is to come in and see what I can do and what they might need or want. So that's what an area director really is, representative of the district. But what do they do? It's very interesting. In many of the clubs, they're not sure what this area director is going to do. He's going to come in and try and change things, make things different, boss us around? Not at all. In fact, my job really is to kind of observe and keep quiet for a while and see what's going on. Now, in a lot of clubs, they're very strong. They don't need anything. They're going along greatly, have lots of members, a great education program. Things are really just kind of cooking along. But for some clubs, they're struggling. And perhaps I might be the one who can bring them an idea, such as, why don't you guys put on an open house and get more members? Or how about, why don't you actually put on a speech craft where you actually teach people who aren't Toastmasters some basics about public speaking and get them used to it? Now, sometimes these ideas work and sometimes they do not. That's not the point. The point is someone is there who is interested in helping. So that's what an area director does. I said there was something that I learned along the way. I had a job that took me all over the United States to use my Toastmaster skills in teaching electrical safety. Now that meant I was in front of a whole lot of different audiences. One of the audiences, in my very first attempt at speaking, one of the members stood up and said, so are you going to be as boring as the last guy your company sent here? And I assured him, no sir, I am not going to be boring. We're going to have lots of fun. In fact, the first thing I want you to do is be part of a role play and lay down on the floor. He did. And we did have fun. But that isn't just the only thing. While I was traveling around the United States, I visited lots and lots of Toastmaster clubs. As an area director, I knew how to get into the information to kind of tell me a little bit about that particular club I was going to see, how their membership was, what their education status was. So I knew what I was walking into before I went. This helped a lot. And sometimes I would pick clubs that were strong. Sometimes I would pick them that were weak. Of course, you realize what I was trying to do was avoid being in the hotel room watching television. Toastmasters is a whole lot more fun than that. In one club in Indiana, the Toastmaster was conducting the whole meeting, going down through each part of the meeting on the agenda, but as a transition between the individual parts, he was teaching a skill, how to take the terror out of the talk. So when he was finished, he had completed not only the agenda, but a training session for all of the members. I'd never seen this before. So what do you think I did? When I got back to our district, I told people about it. I brought it to clubs and said, would this technique work for you? Sometimes they would say yes, and sometimes they would say no. But I learned that through my experience, for all the years that I've been in Toastmasters, I had an opportunity to make a difference. what kind of a difference can you make? One time I was sitting next to a young guy who was a brand new Toastmaster, had to give his first speech, and he was really nervous. So I said, what's the problem? I don't know what to talk about, he says. Well, what is your passion? He runs the Bay to Breakers race every year. And I said, tell us about your practice run. Tell us about running down past the boats in Sausalito and seeing the painters painting the boats out in the bay. Tell us about running across the Golden Gate Bridge and looking down through the grating and seeing the boats go by. Tell us about coming over the high Hayes Street Hill and seeing in the distance the final end of the race. And he did. And he sat down and said, I didn't know I could do it. I said, I did. Everybody does. You're going to be fine. I may have been the spark that gave that guy the confidence he needed. So, is it time for you to take this role? Can you be the leader that comes in and maybe helps a club? If it is, then you need to talk to Toastmasters in our district, because there's slots waiting for you right now.